the point that I love that you brought up to that answer was the idea that sometimes you do need to be an emergency, but don't make emergency a habit.
Exactly.
And I think that's where most of us veer off on the wrong path. I was asked recently, anyone who knows me today knows that I'm a hardworking, productive, high performance type of individual. I live a very scheduled life and a disciplined life. And the biggest question I get around the holidays is, Jay, are you able to switch off? And I always go back and give the credit to my monk training. I'm saying I switch off immediately. As soon as I'm on the flight home, I remember before Christmas, I was getting on a flight home back to London, and I was off the moment I stepped onto the flight. And it was because it's not because I'm special or because I'm unique or I have superpowers. It's because I've simply done what you said, where I've trained myself to always be present. And so if I'm really present in my work, like I am with you now, then when I'm on the plane, I'm just present and I know that it's time to switch off. And so I think the idea that our presence bleeds and our lack of presence bleeds, and it's not that you can selectively be in emergency here and not in emergency here. The state you're feeling is going to spread across your whole life. Like I know a lot of people who are high performance, and I've had to be mindful of this as well. It's like they're high performance at work, but then they take that high performance and they give it to their family. And now their family is getting a high performance dad, and they don't want that. They just want their dad or they want their mom. And so how do we develop that? I guess that's a highly trained ability is what you're saying is we get the ability then to say, okay, I know when to use this and when not to. That's a more heightened state.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with hormones of stress. I mean, that's the only way we could actually survive. We're part human, part animal, part divine. I mean, we have two things at work here. I think the biggest challenge for a lot of people, and 70% of the time, people are living in that state of survival, living in that state of stress. The more you understand what that actually does to you, the more you can make better choices on how long you actually do want to stay there. Here's an example. Many people who are changing a health condition in our work, they start to do the work. They start noticing, I'm sleeping better. I have less pain. I got my appetite back. I feel like I have more energy. They start noticing these subtle subjective changes. They go to the doctor, and their scans still show that they have their health condition. So they're noticing a change, but they're not healed all the way. Now, they don't say it didn't work. They say, what is it about me that I still have to change in order to heal? What thought, what behavior, what emotion? So they're a work in progress, right? Many of those people discover that they have one really good hour of meditation where they feel connected, they feel like their heart is opening up, they feel like their brain is coherent, they feel really great, they don't want the moment to end, and then they spend 15 or 16 hours of their day back in a program, rushing around, back in their emotional states, responding and reacting. And they realize that how could 1 hour of an elevated state weigh against 15 or 16 hours of my response to everyone and everything in my life emotionally is derived from those familiar emotions of fear or anger or hatred or pain or suffering, whatever. Okay, so now this is where the practicum actually goes to the next level because they're no longer just sitting down and rehearsing who they want to be. They're actually rehearsing for their life. They're saying, okay, when I see that person, when I'm in that circumstance, I can't go unconscious and feel this emotion, and I can't go unconscious and say these things or act this way. How am I going to act? What would love do? What would greatness look like? They don't know. They read about it. They get more information, and they're building this model. And now all of a sudden, their response to people, to circumstances, to problems in their life are changing. That's because they're changing. Then they notice that their health condition starts to improve a little bit more. Now they don't say, how come my Alzheimer's or my Parkinson's or my ALS hasn't healed? They're saying, how much more can I open my heart in my day and feel this with my eyes open all day long? If I understand that if I live by these emotions, I'm signaling genes ahead of the environment. Ooh, I'm going to stay in this state because it's this emotional state that is actually going to heal me. So I got to remember this feeling. I got to remember this feeling. I got to remember this feeling. And now they're no longer trying to remember the feeling just for any other reason, but because they want to remember the feeling when they're with their eyes open. Now they're understanding that the more that they change, the more that their health changes. And you can have the best diet, and you could do the best exercise, and you could be really rigid in the food choices and vitamins and minerals, and keep your body chemically balanced and physically balanced. But if you're not emotionally balanced and you're constantly in that fight or flight system, stress is when your body's knocked out of homeostasis. The stress is when your brain and body are knocked out of balance. So you could have all those things working for you, but if you are living in fear, or you're controlling and you're rigid and you're perfectionist and you're hard on yourself, it's going to make sense that is going to have to change in order for you to change, right? And so people start getting it. That's the only way I'm going to change. If I don't change, it's not going to change.